Gene Deal is a snitch. That's what we've been trying to figure out. Is he? Is he? Now, y'all might say, no, wrong word. He's a truth teller. He been telling the truth about the industry and bringing to light all the stuff that Diddy done did. Okay, okay. We're going to go with your explanation for a minute. Now, we're going to take a look at two videos. We're going to look at one from about five years ago and one from about 3 years ago. Okay, so there's going to be a little over a 2 year gap between the two interviews, although they're about the same thing, which is now in question in courts. What's that? That so-called $1 million check that Keefe D got paid in order to deal with some entertainers back in the day at the behest of Puff Daddy. Now, I'm not going to put no words in Gene's mouth before we begin this. I'm not. I'm not even going to give you my take on this. Not yet. No, 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 no. But you know what I do have? And I hope that you will join me. I have my trusty piece of paper here, and I got my trusty pen. And you and I are going to enter into a journey into the story of this $1 million bribe, buy off, pay off. You call it whatever you want. And what Gene's take on it was before and was after a 2 year period. Okay. Now, again, all we're doing is listening. How did it say? We listen and we don't judge. No, I'm a judge. I'm judging. But we're going to listen to him, see if any discrepancies exist, and to what extent the discrepancy exists. Is it story breaking, or is it just a minor leaving out and it doesn't change the overall idea that he knows something? Okay, let's get into it. This is the one from 5 years ago. Okay, cool.
When I first met you was in front of Jersey Girls.
Correct.
First time I met you. What you told me that night, I'll never forget what you told me. You told me what happened to Big. And I was like, that's not what they said happened. Could you, for the people, I'm pretty sure you told them the last moments of what happened, the shooting. How did it happen again?
Well, me and Puff was arguing outside the car because I wanted to ride on top of the,
The presidential riding.
the president.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man. Like, things happen for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Prior to that, 2 weeks before we went out to LA, I did this interrogation and surveillance class with the DEA because my job was offering and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So they told you how to question somebody. You do a line of questioning, and if they do what they call an involuntary eye movement, involuntary motion, after you ask them like a series of 10 questions that you know the individual is going to tell the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Then you ask them something that's uncomfortable for them. You understand?
Almost like a verbal lie detector?
Right.
Gotcha.
And then you ask them something that if you know they're going to tell an outright lie about it or be untruthful. And then you look at their motions doing that every time. And you jotting down the different motions you're doing those questioning.
You know what? Maybe I should become an FBI agent or an interrogator. I'll tell you why. Tell you why right now. Did you know that Gene does that quite often? You want to know how that's provable? He just did it. He just did it. How do you know how he just did it? Listen to me now. Listen, I didn't even have to write this one down. And my brain don't even function fully at 100% no more, but I could grab this one. He asked you, Gene, to break down the night, the events of what happened at the Biggie, thing where he passed away. What did you do? The instant the question got asked, you did exactly what you say, everybody, with the whole motions of stopping. Eyes go somewhere else. They started doing all these. You just did it. And then you go into something completely different to explain what you just did. I don't think the class worked. I don't think the class worked for you, buddy. Right now, the class is working against you. The class is working against you. Just answer the question. What happened that night? Well, you see, back 15 years before that, I had a gangrene on my feet, and so and I couldn't find my underwear. And then one day, my dog came through the door, and I said, "Let's go see Biggie." But before that, I was arguing with this other cat about just what does that have to do with the story, man? Okay, but you know what? You know what? I'm gonna let you flesh it out. Maybe you can explain it.
Then we did what they called surveillance.
Mm.
Like it was people in the classes, and they tell you these people what they had on. They're gonna try to you got to follow them. They're gonna try to lose you. So in the interim of that class, they was telling them about being in the car and knowing if somebody follow you. He said if you make 3 rights or run 3 lights, and somebody's behind you doing the same thing, they following you. You take 3 rights, you in the same place you start.
Facts.
You understand?
Yeah, facts.
So if that car's behind
we're going back to the same place for.
We're going back to the same place for.
Yeah.
Or if you run 3 lights and you see somebody running 3 lights with you or running lights with you, evidently what you call. So that night I wanted to do the presidential thing. Yo, Keefe D and them had came up into the party. I said, yo, Keefe, yo, big, you know Keefe? Just like that. You're big, they gave each other dap.
So Keefe D is Southside Crips.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he up in there. It's right there. So now the fire alarm.
Not to cut you, was Baby Lane there or was he
No,
dead?
he wasn't there.
Okay.
Yeah. So the fire alarm, this is after Pac is dead.
Got you.
You know what I'm saying? So that's why when they draw up this whole thing and say, and they do this whole radio thing, they found the killer and everything like that. Yo, and Keefe D didn't ever have a conversation with Puff prior to this. Me and Keefe D, we was in the 4th season gambling together. You understand?
So it's surveillance video of that somewhere.
Huh?
It's surveillance video of that somewhere. Yeah, wow.
So you're in the 4th season hotel. So we in the 4th season gambling.
Wow.
Me, D-Mac, Keefe D, Zip, Puff, and Tretch with Arnell Simpson on his arm.
Tretch was down with Tupac too, though.
Well, bro, he was down with a lot of people.
Yeah.
But he a good brother.
No, facts.
You understand? So he gambling. And
OJ daughter on his arm. That's what we talking about. OJ Simpson daughter. Yeah.
And hit them for like 20,000.
Now, again, we'll go back to his original statement of breaking down people when you're trying to figure them out in interrogation. The adding of extra stuff. Remember, we've talked about this before, of the oversharing. Oversharing is what you call trying to make sure that you dilute the story enough so that you don't focus on any miscues I give. If I can tell the story, but I embellish some other things, your mind is now flourished with a whole bunch of stuff. Now you're thinking about the gambling here, and you're talking about these 15 different people. And all I asked you was about that night. Okay, that was the only question I asked you about what happened. That's all you asked you about. Instead, now you've gone into your history. You've gone into your teaching. You've gone into your classes. Now you've gone into gambling. You've gone into Tupac. He went everywhere. Why? In order so that when the story comes back to what he's talking about, your brain is completely confuffled. You don't even know where he's beginning again. And you can add and take away, and you will never be the wiser. I'll give him this. He good. He good, but too strong better. He good. He good.
You understand?
So it's the Southside Crips.
Yeah.
Yourself, Puffy, Biggie.
D-Mac.
Who's D-Mac?
D-Mac is a good dude, Southside. He's a Crip from out there too.
Okay.
He's the one that always, like.
No, he don't.
He worked for Sean John, but him and Puff was real close.
How he gonna know that if he just asks you who he is? No, I don't know. I get it might be one of those things you just do because you're trying to find time to get your statement out, but come on, man. Anyway.
Got you. So that was that the introduction to the Southside Crips? Because I didn't understand.
I don't know. No, I think the introduction came from Zip.
Okay.
And D-Mac had his crew that was Crips. I don't know what they Grape Street or whatever they was, or I don't know. And then, or they could have been Southside. I don't know his affiliation with them.
Let me ask you something, direct. I see different conspiracies. I see different people say different things, right? You know who Whack 100 is, right?
I know Whack.
Whack said it was a bag It was somebody from LA that did it to Big, but it was a Harlem dude's bag that paid for it. Do you know what he's talking about? Do you know what he's saying?
I ain't speaking on it.
Oh, you ain't speaking on it. This was 5 years prior. Hold on. I want to write this down. Ain't speaking on it. All right. You heard it. He's not speaking on it. Cool. Let's see what happens.
Got you.
You know what I'm saying?
Got you.
I'm gonna say that
For the last for Gene Deal.
Yeah, for Gene Deal. I'm gonna say that for Gene Deal. Because I know and to be honest with the God, I saw the check.
You just said you're not speaking on it. I'm saving that for Gene Deal. I'm not speaking on it. I saw the check. Can't let a good grip go, though. Now, let me write that down. I saw the check. I'm writing it. Hey, look, I know my brain. All right, cool. All right, cool. He saw the check. Continue.
But I don't know where the check came from. I just know the person who had the check, and I know what they told us what he got the check for.
Okay. You don't know who wrote it, right? Where he got it from. Don't know where, right? That was his statement. He don't know where it came from. Not our words, his. I'm writing it down. And he does know what it was for. All right. Gene Deal, 5 years ago, I saw the check. Don't know who wrote the check, but I do know what it's for. Cool.
All right.
And that's how I'm gonna leave it at that.
Leave it at that.
Just one more thing on that. So you're telling me you saw the check for Biggie's life?
I don't know if it was for Biggie's. No. I'm not saying it's for Biggie's.
Okay, yeah. Because we gotta clarify
that. I saw the check for Pac's. I guess it was for Pac's life.
Oh, okay. Okay, so you saw the check for Pac's life. Again, remember, I'm writing all this down.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? I don't know for sure.
Damn.
I just know after Pac died, that check came into somebody's hand.
Got you.
And they said, this is what I got the check for.
Right.
And it was just funny that it was soon after Pac died that they got that check for that.
Okay, so remember, he says he know what the check was for, but he won't say what it was for, but he's insinuating that the check was for what now? Pac's death, right? It was soon after Pac's death that he got the check. All right. Continue. Wow, indeed. Wow.
If you
now, again, let me see if he says anything more.
You could. When the last time you spoke to Puffy? Face to face.
He tried to send me some money at the Kingdom.
Okay.
And I wouldn't take it.
And what year was this?
I don't know. It was a Kingdom. It was a Kingdom.
All right. So you heard that? You got that part, right? Okay, cool. Now, let's take a look at a more recent one and see if the story changes at all. I mean, he's a truth teller. Truth all day long. He ain't no snitch. He tells the truth. All right, truth teller. Truth away. 3 years ago.
Well, Keefe talked about, various meetings he had with Puff, and there's words thrown out, according to Keefe, that Puff said, well, I'll pay $1 million to make this problem go away and so forth. And then after, Tupac passed away, there was a rumor that a payment went, from Puffy's camp, and it was supposed to go to Keefe D and the Southside guys. And according to TK Kirkland, Zip got that money and he kept it for himself.
Before this guy speaks, new caveats to the story already. Not by Gene. I know it's not by Gene. I'm not ascribing it to Gene. I'm just saying there's new caveats to the story. Let's continue.
Well, the story that has circulated was that after Tupac got killed, Puffy allegedly gave the money.
I heard
to Zip.
Yes.
And Zip was supposed to give the money to Keefe and them.
Yes.
But he never gave the money to him.
But thank God he never gave him the money, right? Think about it. If he gave the money, Puffy will be in prison now, money for hire, a murder for hire. So thank God. It's just a true story. I'm not saying yes or no, but if he would have gave them the money, it'd have been a murder for hire and Puffy would be locked up.
So if now remember, Keefe D now is saying that there was no $1 million. Okay, there's no $1 million. That never existed. All a lie, fabrication. I was just making it up for clout. He never paid me for that. All a lie. Okay, so if there's no $1 million, then the person would have done the doings for free. Okay, cool. Got that part. Let's go.
Now, you had mentioned something about a check.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk about that?
Yeah, talk about it.
Yeah, I could talk about it. I mentioned it on Doggy Diamond platform, and I had, I told MREC and some other people, if anything happened to me, this is all what happened. They got the whole tape.
No. We have a whole tape. We do. I ain't speaking on it. I saw the check. Remember I said I wrote this down? I didn't know it's right. I tell you. Good thing I wrote it down because now I know. Okay.
They got everything that, that went down or whatever like that I said, and I've already said it.
Yeah.
What happened is that you had to understand who Zip was.
No, we don't. No, we really don't. We don't need to understand who Zip was. Zip wasn't even the topic of the conversation 5 years ago, buddy. I mean, you mentioned him, but you never said a particular person named Zip had the check. You said you saw the check. You don't know who it was from, but you do know what it was for. But you ain't speaking on it. Okay, but continue.
Zip was a mastermind, a gangster, a pimp, a hustler, and he had more game than Kellogg had flakes, brother.
All right,
you understand? So, just for instance, before I break this check thing down to you,
make up your story.
Zip used to do shit like that. He have 20 guys in the club with him, right? And he gonna say, "Yo, we got all these girls, you got chicks, we gonna get 20 bottles of champagne, 5 bottles of Grey Goose or Belvedere, and we're going to get 5 bottles of Hennessy."
Now, remember what I said before. Remember I said about oversharing. Here he goes again, just like he did the first time. The question, and remember, he learned to do this. Question, elaborate on something completely different than the question, then go back to the question, but not fully answer the question, but go back into a secondary thing. So by the time the question is answered, people think the question is actually answered, but it's not really. Gene is good because, hey, why wouldn't I use my skills as a former policeman, officer, dealy thing, classes, and implement it into my grift? Why wouldn't I do that? I'm going to snitch sophisticatedly. I'm a top tier snitch. I ain't no regular street level snitch. I snitch at the top. I'm British with my snitching. That could be a bar. Anyway, so we see what we got, right? Now he goes into Zip, goes into what Sniff, and then goes into Grey. Like he breaks down all these unnecessary details. Please make sure you log that.
Now, he'll tell all 20 of the guys, I need like $400-500 from each one of y'all. You understand? Because they know in the club bottles are $200 and better. You know what I mean?
You know what I mean?
So we could drink all night and we could show how the girls like that. Boom.
Again, unnecessary to the topic. Don't need all that, but he has to share it in order to take you away from the question, the audience, and think that he knows a whole lot. That's what this is about. All he could have said, which is what he said, Zip was a hustler. Zip knew how to manipulate. That's all you had to say to get straight to your point. But no, Zip was a hustler. Back in 1939, he ran a moonshine entire operation, and then he became a vampire. What happened was he couldn't die. So when he came around to when you see that kind of stuff, look, whether you want to believe this or not, people like Gene Deal knew certain bits of information. They said it had it concrete in their minds and they had proof. And not a single time did you see Gene take the stand. You didn't hear a single time that Gene had information to offer prosecution. If he said that Diddy was such a thing, none of that happened, right? Okay. Again, because he doesn't know it. None of this stuff is real to him. And if it is real to him, then he's just as bad as Diddy because he does not give up the information to get the people off the street that need to be off the street. Anyway, continue with your elaborate story, please.
Zip already went to the manager, and most managers and people in the clubs thought he was Puff's uncle.
Yeah, oh, wow. Uncle.
He already went to them and made a deal with him on the bottles. You understand? So these guys are giving him $200 to $500, you know what I'm saying? Giving their money out. He's getting the bottles at cost. You understand? Because he's getting so many. You understand? Yeah. And when he go to get the manager some money, it's only a tip for the bartenders. Because he already paid for that. You know what I mean?
Right. And
but and then the story just stops. Yeah, you know what I mean? What about the question? What question are you talking about? Like, what's going on? What is going on? Like, bro, like he was gonna answer a question. Then he said he's gonna get back to the question. After he elaborates, all of a sudden the story just stops. Like, your turn. Like, what? Like, what? Some Twilight Zone stuff, man. Come on. Woo! Jane. I think, hear me out, brother. Hear me out. I get podcasting. It's getting. I think you should do stand-up comedy. Here's why. But hey, whoa. Stand-up comedy, but all your skits is based on what you didn't do back in the day. Trust me, I think it'll work.
And to expand on that, when I interviewed Mike Tyson, he went into this whole story about how he was hanging out and Don King showed up with $600,000 in cash for a fight. And Zip basically finessed Don King out of that $600,000, basically grabbed the money and shooed Don King out the room before any contracts got signed. And basically the two of them spent that $600,000 themselves.
Zip took the $600,000.
Really?
Yeah.
From who?
From Don, when he came in with the money, he's trying to do something. And then Dipsy thought, let's come back later and we'll talk about that. He's walked them out the door. He said, hey, man, let me get some of that money to pay some people. I got to pay the people. WBC, the dog, come back. He's come back. And Zip, you never met Zip, have you?
I haven't. No.
Zip is such a gentleman. Please come back. Not right now. He's just not feeling well, dog. Good click. Bye. And then we're thinking of money. We're like, wow, we're going to have a party. Let's get some bitches. Let's get everything. We got to do it tonight.
So Zip is known for just robbing people in various types of ways.
I wouldn't say robbing.
No, of course you wouldn't say robbing, because then you'd be insinuating something else that you can't afford to insinuate because you can't include Zip in this. You can commend him, but you can't go that far.
You know what I'm saying? Well, because ain't nobody took him to court.
Right. Finessing people. Basically.
Finessing people. I told you he had more game than Kellogg had flakes, man. You know what I'm saying? He can talk a well out of water. So now,
all right.
Okay, now you got to think. The jokes are over. Now it's time to get into details. Now it's the phase, just like he did the first time. Okay.
After Pac got killed, and we heard about, somebody got a check or something like that.
Oh, whoa. Hang on. You're not going to speak on it. But now you heard somebody got a check? Okay, you know what? I'll chalk that up to just an extra detail that you just didn't really add the first time because you don't want to talk about it.
Zip came up on my man's spot because, you know, he used to always try to, you know, show him new cars and everything. Every time he got something new, he would come on the block, our block, and show it to us, either to the game room or on the block when we was cooking or whatever we were doing. And he came up there, and I heard TK Kirkland interview with you. He said he got a check for $5. It wasn't no check for no $500,000. Zip had a check in his right pocket, right back pocket, and that check was for $1 million.
Okay. So this is the I saw the check part. Okay. So this is I saw the check. Now it was in Zip's back pocket. Okay. Zip's back pocket. So let me get this straight. I want to make sure I get it. No, you know, facts matter. Zip's back pocket. Zip was a hustler. This is how you frame it up to make sure that you cover yourself. Okay. So Zip was the hustler guy. You said you didn't know who wrote the check. This is what you said. You don't know who wrote the check, but you do know what it was for.
He said he got the Jimmy Henchman got him the check from Barry Hankerson or something like that.
I don't know who wrote the check. So you do know because Zip told you who wrote the check. Zip told you exactly where he got the check, but you said you don't know who or where you got it from, but you did know. Because this all has happened at the same 5 years. Okay, cool. All right. So Zip said Larry Hankerson. Is that what, right? That's the name you say? Okay, cool. All right, good. Oh, yeah. So Larry Hankerson or Barry Hankerson. Okay, let's go.
Barry Hankerson, I think, there was a Leah uncle or manager or something like that, gave him that check for Black Ground Records.
Ironically, Barry Hankerson is the founder of Black Ground Records. This will come in very handy later.
That's what he said.
That's what he said.
Follow the paper.
Follow the. All right.
I didn't know he had a record label. I didn't know he had a record company, Black Ground label, but that's what he said he got the check for.
That's what he got the check for. Now, you said before that he do know what he got the check for. It was for the record label. All right. We're making sense now. All right. So Zip got the check for the record label. You didn't know that Zip had a record label. You didn't know Zip had a record label. But so Zip has a record label and Barry Hankerson owns this particular record label. So now you're telling me that Barry Hankerson, who owns Black Ground Records, who also is in partnership with Zip because it's Zip's record label, wrote Zip a check for the record label from the record label for $1 million. Continue.
You understand? I'm not the only one that's seen the check. There's other people that I'm not going to mention their name, but they know, you know, they know who I am because we already discussed it and talked about it.
You mean you got your stories straight so you can tell equal stories? Gotcha. Makes sense.
You understand? And I told people that I was going to let the people know. He had a check for $1 million. But he said that Jimmy Henchman got it for him from Barry Hankerson for Black Ground Records.
So let me get this right. Jimmy Henchman gave Zip the check for Barry, from Barry, for the record company. But Barry owns the record company, and you didn't know that Zip had a record label, which was also Barry's company. So why would Barry give Zip, his partner, a check for $1 million for the company when they both are part of it? Okay.
I didn't know he had a record company.
Oh.
Well, ultimately, Keefe D and them never got the check, which in the grand scheme of things probably worked out best if Puff actually did write a check for that, because otherwise you'd be connected to that situation. So, you know, Eric Von Zip keeping the money kind of shielded everyone from the situation in its own
so he's a savior
type of way. Yeah, in a way.
What's funny about that? It's still okay. Hear me out. What's funny about it? Hear me out. If the check was written for the death of Pac, and you knew about it, and you're just glad because Zip didn't give the money, that doesn't make you less an accomplice, Gene. It doesn't make you less an accomplice. You're still implicated in it. You are still implicated in the buy-off, whether or not the check went to the people it was supposed to go to. Because like he said, if it did, you'd be in it. Oh boy. Wow, that's different now. That's different. That's not what you said earlier. You were implicating that the check indeed was for Pac's death. Remember, that's what you're saying. This check was for Pac's death. That's what you said. I wrote it down. Okay.
He's a savior.
Yeah, and rest in peace, Eric Von Zip. He ended up passing away some years later, I think, from cancer.
Right.
So whatever stories Zip has essentially died.
But that's crazy. You know, that cancer, that cancer didn't show up until after he got shot. Yeah. It was crazy. I used to work this club. See, everybody trying to say I didn't know Zip. I knew Zip just like I knew the back of my hand.
You knew Zip like you knew the back of your hand, but you didn't know he had a record label? I know the back of my hand. I see it all the time. So I'd know when something is off. I know what's on there. I know I got scars. I could see it in my dream. I remember what each scar came from. Like I can see it right now on the back of my right hand. I have a scar that goes straight up. I remember one time I was opening a door for a lady and in college, and this lady just opened, she pushed it too, and she had a steel hanger hanging out of her basket. It just ripped right off the back of my hand. I remember that like it was, yesterday. I know the back of my hand. I can tell you all the stories. You don't know that Zip had a record label, but you know him like the back of your hand. All right, Gene.
I think I even told you how for my birthday, he brought 2 prostitutes up to me and be like, yo, here go chocolate, here go vanilla. He was holding them like this. He's like, here go chocolate, here go vanilla. It's your birthday. You can have them both and be greedy. Or you could take one or I could take one. I say, yo, Unc, I'm good. I'm good. You can have the room. And I went down to the tour bus.
Elaborate again, the same thing, and then look up in the air. He told you about this back in his interrogation days, didn't he? All right, 5 years ago, he told you this isn't the tactic. This is what you do. And when the person looks up, you know that they're telling a story. The question was asked of him. He goes into some other tangent. Oh, yeah, me and Zip and prostitutes and blibbity flappity floop. And then, so this is Gene trying to embellish something that he knows he's trying to mask. He already slipped up twice. So now he's trying to add to the story in order for you to look somewhere else. It's a magician trick. It's a magician trick. You told us it was for Pac's death. You said that. And now you're saying follow the money. And now you're trying to put it on Zip. But it's not really on Zip because Zip got money for the same thing that he owned from somebody that owned the company with him. And you still can't explain how that.
He was general like that. He ate my food. I love to cook. I used to cook for everybody on the block. You know what I'm saying? He used to come eat we used to make fried turkeys from macaroni and cheese, greens, cornbread, all that shit like that. And Zip used to always come down. We knew him. You know what I'm saying? When he had an issue or problem, you understand? It's people in Slick and the family that he called to make sure that he wouldn't have no problems. You understand? So yeah. I knew Zip very well. You know what I mean? I worked at his club.
This idea that Gene somehow didn't know where that check came from and for what purposes it was is a lie. A blatant, unequivocally blatant lie. 5 years ago, you said you saw the check, you wasn't going to speak on it, and in 2 years that changed. In this story, you said you got together with the rest of the guys that saw the check, got your story straight, and then you can talk on it. So if anybody asks anybody else, Zip had the check. And Zip had the check for $1 million, right? But Zip was a hustler. Now, Zip got the check from somebody that he was a company owner with for the company he owned. From somebody else. So Barry and Zip owned the company, but somebody outside the company had to give Zip the check for somebody in the company. That's what you want me to believe. Okay, cool. All in an effort to put Zip under the bus, which is what you did. You threw Zip under the bus. Now, if Zip had getting done what he was supposed to do, which was hand the check off to the people, then you would have been implicated in the death of Tupac, which means you're still implicated in the death of Tupac. Subsequently, now in the death of Biggie, you also complicit because you took off. You knew information about Biggie's death and you didn't do anything then. So now you're complicit in two people's death. Through Puff, you decided that, okay, cool, I'll take the money, but the money never got to you. So now you're no longer implicated. That was Tupac's. And then with Biggie, you got word that he was going to get hit and you still went and you still did what you had to do because you're too busy arguing with Puff on the outside of the club. So then Biggie got shot by running away. So now you're complicit in two people's death. And both of them got one person involved in it that was just recently on trial, that you say you have all the information because he's a psychopath, but you never testified on anybody's behalf to put him away, which means that your goal was never to put Puffy away. It was to make more money later now because you already did what you had to do back in the day. So it tells me that maybe you lost your job, but you didn't lose your job because of other people. You lost your job because you would have been implicated in some murders, Gene, which makes what you're doing now not sophisticated snitching. It makes it plain old snitching on somebody that's dead. They can't even defend themselves, but you knew them really good. You wasn't going to talk about it, but now you can talk about it. Stories are straight. Everybody got the same story. Everybody got together. They caught you that time, but you was like, I can't talk on it. That's a Gene. I'm going to take that with Gene Deal. And ironically, now you have an actual Gene Deal channel. So now you can talk about it. Ain't that weird? Prophetic. Prophetic, Gene. Or maybe the other P word, pathetic. Hey, look, I'm just going on these questions. Just answer my questions. How did you go from not speaking on it to telling me you saw the check and didn't know who the check was from to going and saying, now I know who the check was from because you saw it that day and they told you. Zip told you who it was from. You said that, not me. But before, with the same information, because all this happened beforehand, all of a sudden now, Keefe D no longer in the picture. It's Zip. Please explain this. Did Keefe D have the check? Or did Zip have the check? You said Zip never gave nobody the check. So if Zip never gave the check to nobody, but Keefe D said that he got the check, then Keefe D isn't the one that did anything. It was, y'all can connect them dots. I'm just leaving the dots there. I'll hand you a pen. You guys can go ahead and start connecting dots and you tell me how much of this story makes sense to you. Do you believe Gene? That he didn't know nothing about where the check was coming from, but then he knew where the check was coming from. He knew what the check was for. Before he said it was to link to Tupac's death. Now he said just follow the money. Before he had an argument with Puffy, and now he doesn't know Puffy was there. It was, first of all, it was outside the club, and now all of a sudden it's at a cookout. Make up your mind, buddy. Make up your mind. I just want the story straight. That's all. You're the one putting it out there. We're just listeners. Some of us have bigger ears than others. So, I mean, I got some really big ones, but anyhow, just a question, Gene. What would you classify yourself, a truth teller or a snitch? And if you're a snitch, then Zip ain't here to defend himself from your snitching. And the people that don't like snitches, well, I'm not street. I wouldn't know. I can only guess based on like New Jack Blues and Boys in the Hood. I don't know. I just go based on movies. I'm one of those guys. I just have questions. So if you can please clarify that for me, or somebody who knows Gene and knows all this stuff can clarify that for us. That'd be great. That'd be amazing. But until then, we'll just wait to see what happens. We just saw some discrepancies, and we've been seeing some with his stories, by the way. And this one wasn't the most blaring one. So, yeah, we'll see if he answers. Let me know your comments below what you think about this one, because I know everybody's looking for reality, looking for the truth, looking for some closure on things that happened to their favorite artist. All right. We'll catch you guys later. Hopefully that'll be sitting there marinating, and we'll get it barbecued someday. Until then, we'll catch you later.